Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Global Games. We are almost halfway through day number 2 here, and we have a great match coming up for you guys now. It's going to be Croatia versus Ukraine. And Ukraine, we've talked about at length, an absolute powerhouse in terms of the team makeup and the players within that team itself. But Croatia, we were over there and saw some Croatia players at the start of the year.
We did, yeah.
And they were very passionate and actually pretty good. They were like, we actually want to bust out and put Croatia on the map, so to speak, and it's the right place to do it here. Yeah,
and even the Croatian community as a whole, I was surprised. Our Hearthstone event was kind of part of a big esports festival type of event. And they had, all these seats laid out for people to come and watch the Hearthstone stage. And the timing, it was, kind of middle of the day on a weekday we ended up doing this event. I wasn't expecting a big turnout, but the Croatian masses actually came out in force to cheer on their home boys. So definitely a burgeoning community in Croatia.
Yeah, but then look at Ukraine, Nyria, Dr. P, Kalento, and my hunter brother, Nick Chipper. And he said, actually, he tweeted today, got some cool hunter stuff coming up for you guys for this week.
Baby.
So I hope he plays it. We can see Ukraine there again. You've probably been there, so
I actually haven't.
Not.
No,
oh my
you've
God,
got
we
me on
found
this
the
one.
location.
I have not been to Ukraine.
I'm going to go and visit Nick Chipper at some point, I think. This place looks very, very nice indeed. I don't think that's Ukraine. I was going to say. That is Croatia. We both have been there, as we mentioned, at the start of the year. It looked super cool. We didn't get a lot of time to check out what appears to be lovely scenery, actually, as we were in a arena for most of our time.
Yeah, we got stuck in the caster vortex, where you go to a country, you come home, people ask you how it was, and you say, well, my hotel room and the inside of the studio were fantastic. We didn't see much other than that, but still great to experience all the different cultures, interact with players of the game from around the world, and of course, meet the fans and onlookers as well. So yeah, Ukraine, powerhouse team. I ran them down earlier and just said, hey, they have Dr. Hippie, Nyria, and Kalento on the team. When Nick Chipper is your also-ran, the guy that's just not mentioned when you're talking about the team, that's when you know you're in a good spot, because Nick Chipper is a hell of a player in his own right.
Yeah, and an absolute hunter master as well, which is going to be great to see. Obviously, him piloting hunter potentially later on is going to be awesome. But so far, we see Kamikaze on the rogue and priest potentially, and Kalento on the paladin or warlock coming up. It's first team to 3 wins, and each team, or each player in each team, play their best of 1 versus their opponent. All the scores get added up. First player to hit 3 wins the match.
Yeah, and Kalento on Paladin as one of his options. No big surprise. Kalento selecting Paladin as one of his 2 options. I get the feeling that when they were breaking up these classes, Kalento went, I will take Paladin and the class that none of us has any intention of playing in this series, and then I will just pick Paladin 100% of the time.
Just like Nick Chipper and Hunter.
Pretty much,
Hunter and Priest.
Yeah, exactly. If you guys have no idea what we're talking about, Kalento has been one of the big innovators from Paladin from day 1 of the expansion, basically. He started off trying out some hand buff mechanics, some elemental stuff. He's eventually, settled towards the kind of area that everyone else is operating in as well, with, kind of the mid-range Murloc start into the big control cards in the late game. But he recently hit Rank 1 Legend with a new list that he actually tweeted as well that he was going to keep secret just for a couple of days.
I don't think it's going to be too secret for long, and this is no surprise. We can see on the left side the Croatian team all gathering together. As we said, they're a very sort of, close-knit community, and no doubt that looks like they are playing from some form of tavern-based location, a LAN center, a LAN cafe, or something like that. Unless he's just rocking information about a mouse in the background of his bedroom, potentially. You never quite know, to be honest.
Yeah, and housekeeping time again. You saw there 3 players on 1 camera, just Kalento on 1. No, this is not an attempt to balance Kalento by making him come up against 3 players. All the teams in this tournament have the option of either gathering together in the same location. If they don't do that, they are free to operate over voice over IP instead and communicate that way, and almost all of the countries have been choosing to do that.
Yeah, and Kalento's 6 major Hearthstone tournament victories, but most importantly, has been on Cloud9 for 3 years, both literally and spiritually. He has been on the team called Cloud9, and he has been rocking an amazing Hearthstone career, and no doubt feeling like he's on Cloud9 as well.
Yeah, I think I would be on Cloud9 if I was Kalento. Again, both literally and figuratively. Yeah.
Whereas Kamikaze wants to show that Croatia, it's pretty much what we said. While Croatia doesn't have a very well-known players, they are equally or more skilled. So they have a strong community. They believe they are very good. Here is the time to earn it. Although only some minor tournament experience from him with only 7 total HCT points, which is actually, you know, I'm not like down talking anyone, but that's low. That's actually quite low compared to a lot of the players we've seen. Even from the, like, look at Italy. It's like minimum 30 or something, exactly. And then you see a player from Croatia with 7, which just factually isn't a lot when you can earn up to 5 a month just from winning 1 Open Cup.
Yeah. I mean, even just hitting Legend every month is worth a point, right?
Yeah,
so if you only had 7 in 2016, that one means there were some months you didn't achieve Legend. I hate to break the news to you, but that's just maths.
Just the way it is. We are going to be seeing Rogue versus Paladin, and I've been playing a lot of mid-range Paladin myself as well, and I believe it can actually do pretty well even versus Quest Rogue, because you have the equality clips even after the quest goes off. You have Tarim, which is very, very good as well. You know, trading up against the quested buff minions as well. So it doesn't like it's going to be this Murloc opener from Calento and Kamikaze on the Quest Rogue with the dreaded Shadow Step in the
dreaded Shadow Step. Yeah, but there's the other option for Paladin to actually do very well in this matchup that you didn't really cover, is that sometimes you just kill them. Vilefin Inquisitor, Hydrologist, War Leader, and then adapt all your dudes. And as I have mentioned, most, if not all, of the commonly played Quest Rogue lists now are cutting cards like Shadow Step, Fan of Knives from the deck just to make the minion curve, call it a curve, it's not a curve, is it? It just can't be called a curve. The minion presence, the minion draws as consistent as possible. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that doesn't really need a modifier, right? No. It just makes the minions more consistent.
Yeah, we do see Calento going with a typical 1-2-3 play, no doubt. But also as well, what's going to be very interesting going forward for probably next week for deck submission is a lot of people have been cutting the Gloaka Crawlers we've been seeing recently in a lot of decks and swapping them out for another kind of crab, one that is very hungry indeed to actually beat out a lot of these decks that are very focused on Murlocs, on ladder at least.
It's true, and if you are a fan of the dank memes, I highly advise you go to TPG_Jambray on Twitter and check out his recent Hungry Crab meme. It is excellent.
Yeah, definitely a nice high-level meme, I would say. It's a sophisticated one. Only true gents or gentettes will understand. Hydrologist looks like a reasonable play, although coining out War Leader means you can Hydrologist and play the Secret in the same turn next turn, whilst presenting a bit of a stronger Vilefin.
It's very true. And if Backstab is gone, it's kind of hard for the War Leader to get answered unless there is a Charger being committed early on, and that Charger is specifically South Sea Deckhand, in fact. Like Boar or a Summoned Patches from Swashbuckler would not be good enough to get the job done. So it's actually pretty safe on the board from my perspective with that knowledge that not commonly played now are the backstabs.
Yeah, also as well, it means the potential of redemption next turn with the Hydrologist means that, well, the War Leader is the key, right? So you either redemption it, or you could, at worst, get away Kodo and get the War Leader back and replay it again. Right. Continue pushing. So this opens up a very powerful Hydrologist turn next turn. Depending on what comes out here, there's Igneous Elemental for Croatia, but very importantly now, there is 2 Swashbucklers in hand.
Yes.
So it looks like Croatia could just want to go off on this one here.
Very, very possible, but this War Leader does also need dealing with, or else they might just get raced down this game. So Igneous Elemental is probably the best chance you have at getting that, but Calento, if he wants, can just trade the 3-4 into
That's it, isn't it? Already, Calento asking very, very difficult questions from Kamikaze and Team Croatia here. It's going to go for the Elemental. Now, I mean...
Oh, this is so much damage if these Murlocs are not answered in the next turn.
Our Murloc Overlords. Oh, Noble Sacrifice. Oh, okay. No redemption or getaway Kodo, but Noble Sacrifice plus trade means that's as likely as it's going to get for this War Leader to survive.
Yep. And with double Megasaur in hand, this is your job right now. Protect your Murlocs like your life depends on it, because it in fact does.
It just does. With your total life total, I just said total twice in the same sentence, which is weird, actually does rely on winning this game. The Megasaur into Megasaur could just be game ending. And also the second Megasaur gives you options of just going like Divine Shield for the first one to the end, and you know, it just makes them more reliable to make the second one even more powerful going forward.
So the Patches summon, yet again, out of necessity here. Would have loved, again, to keep hold of it before, but it looks like now with the Swashbucklers committed, the choice is between the Flame Elementals and the Swashes now, and since Swashes are being played, they're just higher quality minions to bounce than the Flame Elementals at this point. No fourth bounce effect, or no ability to play the fourth minion in hand right now. 2 natural Swashes, the Shadow Step for a 3rd Swash. They're still 1 short along that line.
Yeah, and this is really tough as well. To even kill this Vile Fin, it's going to require the Stone Tusk Ball be played, which is, again, an absolute nightmare. It looks like it's going to kick off with the Patches trade. Find out there's going to be Noble Sacrifice, and then the decision is all on Kamikaze here. They have to very quickly decide if they want to even deal with this Murloc or not. Oh, they didn't.
They did not. So, Wind Fury this turn is, what, 1420 damage?
Yep. I would choose Wind Fury if it was me. Then you just conk over 2 turns.
Yes.
Kill him.
All you have to do from that point is live for 2 turns and the game is over, bar any Swashbuckler nonsense. But since you are a Paladin...
+1/+1 poison. Ooh.
Since you're a Paladin, the possibility of Swashbuckler nonsense is actually quite high if they're digging for healing. There is quite a few cards that would be available to them.
Yeah. None of the big bust-out options, though, for Adapt.
No.
The Untargetable doesn't do much because a lot of this deck is minion trading, which is just fine. And also, as well, the Poisonous doesn't do much because... well, your opponent's not even played the quest, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
If there was a board full of quested minions, sure, Poison's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
You just trade 1 for 1. But +1/+1 gonna have to get the work done here, but much less likely for these minions to survive the following turn. Do you actually trade the 2 healthy minions into them this turn to give it as much likelihood as possible?
I mean, hitting him in the face is a really clean lethal setup. I'm just going to put that out there.
I'll let you put that out there.
Yeah.
Hang it up to dry. It's 11 health already. And this is actually a Paladin that can go late game, believe it or not. But sometimes you just Murloc them in the face.
You do. And that is the quest complete now with the Brewmaster, but no ability to activate the quest and gain any tempo from these minions that have been left around on the board, which means they are in a serious world of hurt right now. This is kind of a 2-for-1 situation. This is what they need to do to finish the quest anyway, and they also need some help from Paladin cards, and neither of those cards are a significant amount of health. They have 1 more rebuy, but with 3 more mana committed from a Panda and a Swashbuckler here, they don't even have enough to cast, say, the Holy Light if they hit that.
Equality, right? Equality traded to the War Leader and 1 more minion.
Not enough mana.
Oh yeah, of course. It's Brewmaster, so they're actually gonna have to pay for it. Yeah, this is. I mean, yeah.
Oh, that would have been nice on either of the last 2 Swashbucklers.
Just see Kalento laughing. It's like, this Paladin looks pretty good.
Oh, I'm a genius.
Ooh, Paladin. Can kill out some damage here, but that's already just too much, and that is just going to be game. Nothing.
Well, not he. Yeah, from Croatia's perspective, there is still 1 damage required, but the 1 damage is there in the form of the Consecration. Even if it wasn't, Megasaur coming down for any of the plus damage options could have got that job done easily.
Damage, +1/+1.
Exactly.
There's many options in. Kalento, chilling full health. What's Quest Rogue? He asks. Not a deck I lose to with my ultimate Paladin of Doom with a mixture of Murlocs, and we didn't see any late game.
If you guys didn't know, that right there is Kalento's happy face. It's almost indistinguishable from his sad face, his miserable face, and his overjoyed face.
All quite the same, just like Sol's face, very reasonable and standard. Oh my god, that's even a smile that scared me as I can see that. But yeah, it's going to be Kalento taking the first game for Ukraine, and that rhymes as well. Oh my god, Nick Chipper, I'm going to send you a tweet as soon as this series is done.
Uh-oh.
I am no longer impressed. You promised me Hunter, and you lied. Ugh, it's going to be Priest versus Warrior, insane rocking the Warrior. And Nick Chipper going on the Priest. I know he has played some Priests. It's not like he's bringing a deck that he's never played before. But I don't know.
There are 8 classes in the game that Nick Chipper has never played before.
But I feel like looking at what's available, Hunter could probably be okay against actually Mage and Warrior. Probably feels like Nick Chipper's got a better chance against the Warrior, as the Mage probably wouldn't be picked up because of its Priest and Hunter, right? You ain't picking Priest Mage.
Well, you've already said that you don't really feel like Hunter is particularly strong against Quest Warrior even, right? There's some people tend to think it is.
Is Priest? I don't think Priest is strong against anything at this point. I think it's just a weird deck. But I just feel like you know your opponent's picking Warrior, so that is probably why. If his Hunter is not built to deal with Taunt Warrior,
Right.
then I get it. But I'm just wondering what type of priest it is, because is priest built to beat Taunt Warrior? I actually don't know the answer to that question. But we see Nick Chipper there. He looks young, but when I first met him, he looked even younger. He was but a mere boy. I think he was like 16 or something at G-Finity, right?
I think so, yeah. Sounds
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so probably just rocking up 18. Now he's they grow up so fast. These
do.
Hearthstone kids.
Brings a tear to my eye, Raven.
Those oldies get to watch the young pros grow up before our very eyes and judge them rigorously when they lose in a match of Hearthstone.
No, judge them rigorously when they don't play Hunter, apparently. And yes, as you can see, TJ knows exactly what the deal is. Nick Chipper, well known for playing and innovating with Hunter. Calm down, Raven.
Yep. But also, in case you didn't know, Nick Chipper is on Team Spirit alongside Stanudachi in and Silvername. Pretty much 3 of the 4 players for the Russian team, as you can see, and Team Spirit, a pretty good team indeed when they're rocking that kind of quality. And Nick Chipper is actually one of the more like focused professional players alongside Stanudachi, I would say. Silvername, big streamer.
Yes, and there you go, Insane, flying the flag for Croatia, the only Croatian player to participate in an HCT preliminary in 2016, which I think really follows up and establishes... I know. Ray was just pointing out the last fact to me.
Oh
I've already read it. But yeah, I think it establishes the point that Croatia, are really one of the true minnows in this tournament. Seeing only, I think, 7 HCT points was the number on the previous player. This is going to happen. There are some countries in this tournament, just by the all-inclusive nature of this, there are going to be some countries that are weaker than the others. And I think that, I made this point yesterday. If you're watching the European football qualifiers or anything along those lines, some of the most exciting things are just seeing whether your San Marinos, your Macedonias, and all these countries can somehow try and pick up a win and pick up some points. So, I mean, if Croatia are able to get on the board against a powerhouse like Ukraine, then what an incredible upset that would be.
Yeah, and this is exactly what they want to do. They say they want to put Croatia on the map. They want to grow the community. A strong performance in global games is exactly that. I have no doubt, even though they are a weaker country in terms of previous performance, that they'll have a huge amount of fans watching them play. Like, like you said, we were at the arena this year, and there's a load of fans coming out there. So we are going to move into the game now. Nick Chipper with Song Stealer in his opening hand suggests a bit of a funky silence priest.
It does.
That could come out to play. Insane is not an insane assumption that it is going to be the Taunt Warrior for him. Oh, Nick Chipper, you have Golden Lyra. There is a god. Okay.
They're super accounts, Raven. All the cards are golden.
He used the Golden Lyra.
Okay.
it was actually a pun as well, because Lyra's a god.
It's fair. Just in case there are any Macedonians watching, I will apologize in advance. I know I know you're nowhere near as bad as San Marino, okay? I'm just going to put that out there. You're just the second country that popped into
If there are any San Marinos watching, then...
No, they are just abysmal. There is no defending San Marino. Yeah.
Okay, moving on before I let Subtle try and destroy any more regions.
It's all right. There's only like 5 people from San Marino.
No wonder the team can't win.
Exactly.
Oh my lord. Okay, well, there is Medivh as well in Nick Chipper's hand. Okay, now suddenly I'm more interested in Priest, as this is not the list I thought it was, and might do some crazy shenanigans indeed. Croatia, on the other hand, looking like they are playing the probably the quickest deck to be worked out, so to speak, in terms of this meta.
Right.
It's like Taunt Warrior, because guess what? Just put all the good taunts in. Done. There's the deck. Play them. Win.
It's very similar to how, I think the deck that I put together for Jade Druid on day 2 of that expansion was 2 cards off the fully agreed upon list that everyone then played for the remainder of it. It's a very easy deck along those lines to figure out. Jade Druid, you play all the Jade cards, you play a couple of big taunts to keep you alive, you play Bran, you play the good removal, Innovate, Wild Growth, go. Quest Warrior, similar thing. You play some cards to keep you alive, and then you play all the high-quality taunt minions, press go. Some decks do just kind of build themselves.
You heard it here first, very subtly, Reynard created Zoo, Subtle created Jade Druid, you know who to aim.
No.
Rage at, he just admitted it on a broadcast that is on the VOD.
There were already dozens of people who built that same. That's exactly the point I'm making.
And here comes the backpedaling.
Is that anyone could have put that deck together because it just builds itself.
Anything to get you out of a tight situation there. I do see Cleric as an option for turn 2 play, but probably not going to be too much because it can be cleaned up by Fireworks very easily. It looks like Nick Chipper's going to go for it. Very interesting. Does open up of a trade and heal turn if there's, say, Coin and Stonehill comes out now. does have the option to actually draw a card, but it could just run straight into a War Axe.
It could, but the when your warrior opponent is keeping the quest every game, as they almost certainly will do against Priest, that's one card slot that does not then turn into a Fiery War Axe in their mulligan. So you can actually take bigger risks like this against Quest Warrior these days because it's just such a lower percentage when there's one less card slot that they're hitting that Fiery War Axe with any consistency.
And not too many options here from Insane. Just going to armor up, give Nick Chipper a little bit more time to put together some form of hand and just doesn't draw anything here. Shadowwood Death going to be nice later on, but even then there isn't actually that many taunts that hit 5+. In the deck, to be honest. A lot of them are quite low attack, which is where cards like Shadowwood Pain have the opposite effect and can actually pick apart this warrior very easily. Look at Nick Chipper's face there as he sort of smiled to himself. Like, I wonder what the casters will be talking about as I hover Shadowwood Pain over my own cleric.
Yeah. He's amusing himself, and that's all that matters right now. And yeah, Shadow Pain, as you mentioned, is an extremely key card in this matchup. Can hit some of the highest value targets in the deck, like Ali Armorsmith, Bloodhoof Brave, and Direhorn Hatchling, which I think is the right one, right? 5-mana 3/6 thing. It's Direhorn Hatchling.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hardly a thing that he's going to be throwing away on his own Nausea Cleric, even if that play wasn't patently ridiculous in the first place.
Yeah, now options for my good friend P. Diddy, the public defender, going to come out now as a potential 2-drop to help, push the quest count. Because the problem is, you look at 6 mana, 7 mana. That's pretty late when you already have a 5 and a 6 and an 8. So I wouldn't even mind the public defender at this point.
Actually don't mind it either, yeah. It seems to just squeeze into the curve at a couple of potential points, looking at the way the hand plays out. Tarlord is, I think, a bit of a trap card in this deck. You know, it's been included in a few people's decks that I've seen, mainly when I was climbing early on at the season, so I was, in slightly lower ranks, and I think it just is kind of a bait of a card. I don't think it's high quality.
Did pick it up, though, so Insane's going to go for it. And, what is Nick Chipper doing?
I don't know.
Just going to cast Nick Chipper's facial expressions for the rest of the game. But now just going to get that value from the heal there. The cleric is the trade-off of Team Croatia going for the Stonehill, because you do need to start generating more taunt minions to play, but you do give Nick Chipper some draws here, and now the Elemental as well. Radiant Elemental, in fact, is going to be very, very powerful later in the game, especially because suddenly there's Lyra and Radiant Elemental available.
Yep. And this allows him to just even go off next turn if he really wants to, investing the mana now in that Radiant Elemental. No War Axe, he's already pretty much well established in hand, so he's free to play these kind of squishy, vulnerable minions that would just get gobbled up by War Axe. Just leave them on the board, free to get value.
Yeah, and there's another trap that Insane might fall into now, which is coin Ali Armorsmith, when it's just going to get gobbled up by Shadowwood Pain, and that's kind of something you can't even play around either, because so many of your minions are low attack and can open up to that card that you can't ever play around it, because then you'll just never play a minion.
Yeah, Shadowwood Pain is getting value against you at some point. That is just happening. You are not preventing that happening. Just, cross your heart and thank the lucky stars that you are not facing Dragon Priest that also has potentially 2 bookworms available to them.
But, to be fair, with one Pain still in the deck and a Lyra, there could be unlimited Pains knocking around.
And 2 Shadow Visions.
No,
yeah,
that's what I mean. Yeah,
right.
You can just actually just endlessly generate Pains to a certain extent. Okay, so it's just going to be Ravaging Ghoul. Fine with a coin, sleep with the fishes to clear the board. This is very, very nice, actually. Gets rid of the Elemental, gets rid of the Cleric. All you have to do is trade off the Stonehill, and you are not too fussed about that card. Now it's got its value. If Lyra gets played, don't say a word and just listen.
Okay.
You've not heard this before, have you?
I have, yeah.
Oh, okay. It's awesome, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, I play on mute, so I hadn't heard it myself. But since it's become so common, I've obviously been watching streams where people have played it and all that kind of thing. And yes, I agree, it is pretty sweet.
Super epic. Oh, okay. So Priest at the Feast is going to come down now. A great minion overall. He gets so much value as well, and kind of awkward to deal with, because if Warriors throw an Execute at this, great. You're probably pretty happy at that point.
You guys didn't catch the double thumbs up that accompanied that great from Raven.
And that'll be on the outtakes that we can see once you finish watching all 1,000 hours of Hearthstone Global Games at the end of all the stages here. But this is going to be pretty awkward to deal with. Direhorn Hatchling doesn't die to the Priest of Feast, but there's still that Shadowwood Pain in Nick Chipper's hand that can clear it up very, very easily.
Yeah, and there's just no player that plays around it. He can play the Hatchling,
right?
he can play Hatchling, he can play Armor Smith, either way. It's
Armor Up plays around it.
Yeah, right. It's basically just an option of which one of these minions would I rather was on the receiving end of a Shadow Word Pain.
Yeah, and to be fair, this one actually does something when it dies, puts another taunt in the deck, which increases chance of drawing a taunt going forward, so it seems like they're a reasonable play to me from Insane.
Yeah, there's also, I guess, a small world. Again, let's just get this out of the way again and point out that, the deck lists are private in this tournament. We're used to them now, I think, in HCT being revealed. So the players have full information of what they're up against, and the casters, and even you guys at home, if you wanted to check them out, could have the full 30-card list ahead of them. We have no idea what's in Nick Chipper's deck. It has a Medivh in it. There could be anything else as well. So from Croatia's perspective, yes, Ali Armor Smith would also get punished by Shadow Word Pain. Then you can also add, weird cards like maybe Cabal Shadow Priest that you could add to the list that would be a double blowout in that regard.
We've cast Priest matches with Cabal Shadow Priest in this tournament.
Yes, we have.
So not too crazy of an assumption at all. Now we see the options. A shame Taunt is one, because it's always the pitfall with this is that it already has Taunt.
Yeah.
You cannot, well, you can get it twice. It doesn't do much. But +3 attack, +1/1. I always feel like +1/1 is just better, because the minion's got a reasonable amount of health anyway, and you're facing down a board, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially against
pushes them, push them out of range.
Yeah, exactly. There's 5 power sitting on the board, so +3 attack would literally not do anything. It would still be vulnerable to this exact same trade, still be vulnerable to Shadow Word Death. At least this does prevent the double trade on board from happening, and if he left it at 5/5 even, if he just for some reason took Taunt, of course there's a value trade for the Priest of the Feast. So buffing it up to 6 means that it does contest everything and require an additional answer now from Ukraine.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting how Nick Chipper approaches the next few turns, because we're edging into, obviously we can see Primordial Drakes in hand, but we're edging towards that territory, and that's a minion that Priest cannot really deal with that well.
Yeah.
So there needs to be some form of plan. Medivh going on board helps out, but an Execute can clean him up very easily. So you need to be able to do something, and now there's actually 8 power on the board. So even if one can't come out this turn, of course, but in the next couple of turns, if these minions don't get cleaned up, the Primordial Drake #1 at least can die.
There is a brawl, at least. No removal has been found so far from Croatia, really. That Fiery War Axe has only just been picked up, which would have been huge for them in the early turn, since there was just a Cleric and a Radiant Elemental sitting around in the early game. But now the Brawl pickup starts to compensate for that lack of, executes and shield slams if they're in the deck that they haven't had available to them yet. But still, the Medivh the Guardian is a potential huge threat, and Nick Chipper, I imagine, will be reticent to drop another 7/7 on a board that has this much value on it already next turn.
The only problem is Tar Lord can actually get some work done. It plays with the Priest's Emotions. 1 minute it's susceptible to Shadow Word Pain, then it's susceptible to Shadow Word Death, and he's just seen a death, so Insane will be feeling pretty confident about dropping this Tar Lord here.
Yeah, but this is kind of my issue with Tar Lord. It's like, okay, I can't really kill this right now.
Pass.
Pass. Yeah. Right. What do you do with it?
Hero power, emote pass.
Yes, exactly. There are benefits to it, of course, because, Taunt Warrior is just a deck that's trying to buy time. So if you have essentially what is a 1/11 Taunt in the way, and it sticks around there for 2 or 3 turns because it's awkward for your opponent to deal with, great. That's awesome for you. You've bought a couple of extra turns through that. Nick Chipper just throwing up the old emote. I wonder if the hero power that classically accompanies the emote will come out very soon.
It's going for
is going to go Medivh.
I think the benefit here is there is a potential trade Holy Nova as well next turn, which means the Medivh weapon gaining a 5-drop along with your Holy Nova is pretty nice.
Yeah, and I guess I actually misspoke a little thinking about it. I mean, there's first and foremost, there's infinite upside right now if your opponent does not have the Brawl. Then you're in amazing
just a great
shape.
play. Yeah.
Secondly, if Brawl happens right now, okay, that's a Brawl gone, and you still have 3 charges of Atiesh to generate huge minions with in the coming turns, and the Brawl will be gone from your opponent. So actually, all things considered, weighing this up, playing this into the risk of Brawl, it's actually a pretty okay situation for you. And now there's the added benefit that Croatia is very likely to brawl away their own 7-mana minion in the process.
Yeah, add on to that as well, there's only a 1 in 5 chance, and 1 in 4 out of your own minions that you get a bad outcome. A Priest of the Feast is okay to win that brawl, right?
Yeah.
Medivh is fantastic, Priest of the Feast is fantastic. Yeah, if the Crab wins, you're like, okay, at least I won. The Tar Lord didn't win. But, you're probably still coming out okay after this brawl.
So they're considering just continuing to load taunts here. They don't have, they don't have a decent way of dealing an additional 2 damage cleanly to this Medivh after it trades through the Tar Lord potentially, but the 11 health is a pretty awkward number for Nick Chipper to deal with right now, although that Northshire Cleric
Oh my god.
is, as a certain bearded, red-blooded American would say, a huge draw.
Yeah, that is potentially 3 draws from the Holy Nova here with the double trade with the Medivh and the Priest of the Feast. Priest of the Feast, yep, is going to go into Tar Lord. Just about survives. Holy Nova, draw 3 cards, generate a 5/5. Feels good, man.
Generate a 5/5?
Sorry, generate a 5 mana.
Calling it that far in advance. If this is the 5/5, I call hacks. Wait for it.
I choose you.
Wait for it.
Oh, that's it. Could be a Song Stealer. Oh, that's close.
Unlucky.
That's what I meant. Listen to what I mean, know what I say. Okay, gonna go for the heal for the additional draws. Still a Shadow of Death somewhere in the deck. Dragonfire Potion, not gonna be it. Shadow Visions, though, cannot be played this turn, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Power Shield also kind of feels like a waste of an ATS charge in this position, so I'd be surprised if that gets played. Sheep with the Fishes? that is a Hearthstone card I want to play with. That sounds amazing. I have no idea what it does, but 2 of them are going in every deck I play.
Sheep with the Fishes. Really?
Sleep with the Fishes getting picked up is actually a huge deal here because potentially allows him to get greedy and hold on to a brawl here if he wants to. I said he had no nice way to deal these small amounts of damage to the minions remaining after they traded into the Tar Lord, but Sleep has solved that problem quite significantly. But looking at it, is it just brawl time?
I think you're okay with a brawl here. Anything else feels a bit too crazy, even though you can brawl and not develop an additional minion. So I guess you brawl with the hope that either you win with Tar or the 2 minions on the left survive. But it looks like he's going for Sleep instead.
He's going to take 7 like a boss.
Oh, like a boss took 3 losses in the previous series.
Oh! Again, the savagery from left field out of Raven.
You're going to just keep up with the times, right?
It's true.
Apparently it's hip and cool to be savage. And, so I'm just trying to be down with the kids, so to speak. Shadowwood Pain, not going to get worked, as I said. The Tar Lord taunting him in every aspect. 1 on the board and 2 to the Priest's face, as it's not going to be able to deal with it on his turn anyway.
Well, I mean, he can Song Steal it now after that pickup off the big Cleric turn on the previous turn.
Oh, you could... Oh, maybe not. I'll take it back.
Really, really greedy lines here from the Croatian team playing Warrior. Really trying to squeeze out as much value from that brawl as they possibly can. And you can't necessarily hate on them for it. They are really going down that line where, you know, the brawl is at its most powerful on the turn where you're looking to activate the quest, just because you can then leave 1 minion remaining and potentially deal with it. But
I wanted one to face from the Atish from nature. Show me your true hunter ways and smoke him good.
Dirty Rat has now been picked up to pair with that brawl. Looks promising.
I'm destined to not see Lyra played.
No?
Ever.
If this board state's dealt with, then Ukraine are just a little bit short of damage to close out this game. So Lyra might be played just to go digging for those Holy Fires and Mind Blasts.
You can Lyra Shadow Visions as well, which gives you double outs of 1 drawing a card from your deck. That's pretty nice. It may be a Powered Shield, which is very good with Lyra. Also, as well, you want to go as high on the damage as possible in terms of the Atish.
As the quest and the combination of this Drake and the Sleep with the Fishes is going to be a very clean board clear now. And with this hand, this Lyra that we've been talking about, Radiant Elemental number 2, is pretty much the dream draw for Ukraine.
I imagine in this deck specifically, there are 2 Radiant Elementals. In Dragon Priest, you play 1 normally, just for the chance. Yeah, some lists have 1. But in this, obviously, with so much combo potential, you do go for it. And I hope this is the turn where Lyra gets slammed onto the butt. What? Okay.
Oh, there is a free from Amber in Nick Chipper's deck. That has some sweet, sweet synergy with Atiesh. There is going to be a discovered minion that can cost up to 10 alongside another minion.
Yogg Champ.
I mean, you're not... It's a 7-5 compared to a 6-10. You're going to be taking the 6-10.
Just want to see Yogg.
Monster!
Get him!
Fantastic. Ali Armorsmith's now in play for the defensive options, but I think Ukraine have kind of fully bitten hook, line, and sinker that there's no brawl available for Croatia because they've been doing so many alternate things to clear boards and just stall out board states, not even clearing the board, just, you know, playing more taunts that aren't really effective against the board state they're facing. And I think Ukraine have just, you know, fully gone hook, line, and sinker here. Okay, there's probably no brawl in the hand. Let's just overcommit.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one here. Nick Chipper does have a Librarian on the board as well, so didn't get the downside of discarding a card because it was something from Atiesh, but will get the upside of drawing one as well. But I feel like, you know, there is another Amber, though, in the deck, right? Because the Shadow Vision's discovered it. So there is plenty more juice in the tank from Nick Chipper. It's definitely a Priest list I can get behind. It does stuff.
Bouncing over the alley, Armorsmith.
Want to play ball.
Croatia are the greediest team I have ever seen in my life.
Now not even going to get an armor up either, just on 7. Gets the card draw. Powered Shield going to be extremely nice with Lyra next turn, and
okay,
yeah,
boy,
they can just aim it. Oh, but Boogie Monster grows.
No, you have it's when you attack with a minion, right? It doesn't matter when your minion dies.
Oh no, I meant like because it can kill the
yeah,
Drake.
sure,
Yeah, sorry,
right.
yeah. Here we go. Oh yes.
He needs 1 damage, right? Potion of Madness here trades out the taunt that's in the way.
2 powered shields to find 1 damage and a Shadow Word Pain.
Mind Blast is what we are looking for. Shadow Madness is not. Radiant Elemental now, it lets him go off, but just spending the 2 mana on the Radiant Elemental. No, he'll have 1 left available to cast a Mind Blast if he gets there. This is so huge. Forbidden Shaping can be cast for 0, but it will use up that 1 remaining mana and not let him Mind Blast afterwards.
That's the problem. Well, you actually pain,
Attack
right?
first, Shadow Word, Pain your own Ali Armorsmith. Well, not your own. Temporarily your own Ali Armorsmith.
Another pain.
Shadow Word Pain. You Forbidden Shaping for 0, right?
Yep, why not? You might get another power.
Do you?
Shield.
It's a really high value card, but yeah, I think it's more important that you just look for Holy Smite!
The Smite! Lyra! Woo, into another Smite as well! Okay, Nick Chipper, doesn't matter what deck you play, you are a god to me, friend. And that is why I love Lyra. Sounds great, does great stuff. Priest deck, I can get behind it, actually wins games. And that game now going to Ukraine as Nick Chipper manages to get 1 point on the board. What a game.
The Priest Legendary is strong. Maybe even too strong. Mike Dene, 2017. And you will laugh.
Now who's laughing?
What game?
Nick Chipper.
Really, really well navigated towards the end there from Nick Chipper and from Ukraine. And you see the finishing stages here as the Ukraine just YOLO'd that Forbidden Shaping with the Holy Smite.
And he got
picks it up. He got the spare one as well. But yeah, let's talk about for a second the levels of greed that we saw from Croatia. There were 4 viable turns for a brawl that game. I think 3 of them would have been paired with a Dirty Rat. They could have gone Dirty Rat Brawl as a viable turn. And if you've died with one of your highest value answers in your hand, that's a pretty good indication a lot of the time that you've been too greedy with it.
Yeah, definitely scary actually, because the problem is with Boogie Monster on the board, you Sulfuris on 7. Like, it does 6 on its own.
Yeah.
Like, what if there's an answer? You know what I mean? You just lose. Yeah. Like, you could just brawl, and then you could play Dirty Rat even afterwards if you wanted to try and block it out if it wins the brawl.
Right.
Or you could just brawl with it, and then the odds on it winning are so slim, you just make that play, right? But you can still hero power afterwards, and I don't know. It seemed a little bit crazy to hold on to the brawl for that long, and I genuinely think it was the undoing of Croatia in that game. And now Ukraine are 2-0 up. Raw dominance coming out from Ukraine. You can't really argue with it. And now they're going to deal with Nyria, who has had a history in the HGG of bringing a strange deck specifically, which was the Control Shaman, right?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it was the deck where he actually didn't get to
Spirit Echoes.
He didn't get to get through that many cards.
Yeah.
We suspected there was Spirit Echo in there, and it was just kind of high value, looking to Ancestral Spirits and stuff, get the Spirit Echoes on there as well for massive amounts of value later on, but unfortunately just wasn't able to get through with it, to my memory. I think he lost quite convincingly with that deck in the end, yeah.
But his opponent's going to be Travno Boy, who's actually another player that I believe was at the arena. The name rings a bell. And yeah, you know, he's going to have to just hold on now. For Croatia, basically, he has to just win, and then they have to win the next 2 games to be able to take this series.
This is more like it, Travno Boy. That's 7 HCT points just in the winter season.
That's the difference, right?
All right, now we're getting there. Nairia competed as storied competitor in the World Championship. 2015 was in the World Championship. He was very, very close at coming back in 2016.
I'm going to cut you off a little bit.
Go on.
What is this food? It looks amazing. Well, sounds amazing.
Veal
Veal steak stuffed with ham and cheese. I want this.
Zagrabaki, I'm going to go with that. Let me know on Twitter how that pronounced. Zagrabachki, I'm being told. There we go.
Good work. You can pronounce it, and I will eat it. That sounds absolutely amazing. We need to head back to Croatia at some point this year so I can try it. Sorry, Nairia. Good guy. Good player.
On the other hand, in case you were wondering what exactly buckwheat porridge is, it is in fact porridge. This is made from buckwheat.
We give you all the deep knowledge here on the HCG desk. Things you would never even consider or never even dream of knowing, we let you know, and so does Nairia. But yeah, Nairia does bring some funky decks. We actually did speak to him a lot. He was at Winter Championships, and he's taking a very different approach to the game in the past year or so, where he's much more relaxed, isn't, try-harding to a certain extent, but that might sound wrong. He isn't piling 10, 12 hours a day into Hearthstone. He's playing for a few hours. He's thinking about the game, watching a lot of streams to learn from other streamers and other players. And he went to Winter Championship, so something must be working. Maybe a more lax training regime actually helps him out, as opposed to some of the players we know who are like hard grinders. Tyler being one of them, we'll see later on. Tyler just doesn't not play the game.
Exactly.
Like, it's crazy.
I think that there was an interview with Amnesiac during his World Championship run, part of the video package that he had, where he was talking about how practicing smart is more important than practicing long. And that's, I think, exactly the philosophy that Nairia now has. He feels more relaxed about the game. He feels more comfortable in what he's doing, and he still feels like his play is on point because, as you mentioned, his experience of Hearthstone is still, he's still absorbed in the game. He's just, he's watching other players play. He's talking to people about the game. It's not just all about grinding 10 hours a day of ladder, although if you're Tyler, that works perfectly for you as well.
Yeah, it's the age-old thing, you can play 1,000 games in a day or 100, but if you play 1,000 and never understand why you lose, then what was the point?
Exactly.
Right? There's no learning process. But we are going to get into this game, all on Croatia and all on Travenborg now to hang into the game. Just a friendly greeting emotes, and then we can see a Hunter versus the Shaman from Nairia. And already we see more of a standard-ish elemental look to the Shaman. Volcano, a card I absolutely love, and that Maelstrom Portal going off, dealing with the 1/1's absolutely huge.
Yeah, and you're about to get some bad news, Croatia. Your turn 1 Alley Cat was met with the perfect answer. Your turn 2 Scavenging Hyena is met with the perfect answer. And that face from Croatia right there was the face of a man that has just been met with 2 perfect answers.
Yeah, and the problem is there is an animal companion here, but there's still a lot on board to be able to deal with this. Huffer gets cleaned up pretty easily. Misha actually just dives to what's already on board, including the weapon. Same with Leok. It's going to be Huffer, so that's probably the most immediate advantage. I imagine we're going to see it go to face, unless he's very afraid of the Flame Tongue Totem. A trade with the weapon would take 8 damage, but then you can start pushing 6 this turn from Nairia himself. Go for face.
I don't see a realistic world where the trade was worth it. I mean, Flame Tongue is not a huge punish. You can do it with 1/1/1 instead of 2/1/1s. It's not the world of difference. Maelstrom Portal is kind of a similar effect, but you already saw one of those, so how likely is the second? But with no other real play available to Nairia and Ukraine here, I think the second Maelstrom works out just fine in this spot, just making sure he just stays that little bit ahead of the play against Hunter, which, as we've mentioned so many times in the Hunter matchups that we've cast this week, is absolutely crucial. You just can't give Hunter a board to snowball on.
No, not at all. It feels like so much on the on a knife's edge, right? If a Hunter holds the board, they almost just win.
Yeah.
If a Hunter loses the board, they almost just lose. It's very much just on a knife's edge, and we'll see how that continues now as Nairia and Team Ukraine do keep hold of the board, and now Razormaw, one of the strongest cards in my opinion in expansion. Not as strong when you have nothing on board already.
Yeah, and you saw the reaction straight away from the Croatian team there. As soon as that extra 4 damage was taken from Ukraine, from Nairia, just choosing to take the greedy trade with the weapon, the mouse immediately went to the kill command in hand from Croatia. They said, okay, we have no board right now, but he just took 8 from a Huffer and we have a kill command in our hand. And now they have the option of having 2 kill commands in their hand, but that would mean playing potentially nothing again next turn.
Maybe you just have to go for it though. The problem is, there's no direct nod yet that this is just Elemental Shaman, right?
Right.
But cards like Kalimos, which is going to come later, of course, but Hot Spring Guardians can just stop that game plan. Hot Spring Guardian pretty much negates a kill command, and when you're relying on kill commands plus 2 damage a turn, when your opponent's punching you in the face every turn you're not, that is a losing tactic.
So yeah, just choosing instead to try and establish a board presence as best they can. That Nesting Rock is obviously not coming down in activated form, but it is going to hit the board as a 4/7, which is looking nice and competitive against this board state they're facing down, curving then into high main, so they feel like they can get a grip back on this board. And instead of the cards like Healing Wave and Kalimos that they'd be scared of coming out from Ukraine, it's suddenly cards like Hex that are going to be the big blowout to that kind of line of play.
Well, we saw that earlier today, right? You know, the Hex onto the Hunter was just game. Or was that yesterday? Oh, no, it was yesterday. Hex, it was the Hex straight onto a high main yesterday, and that just stopped the Hunter being able to take the win. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be strong if you can pull it off. Traveling Boy, though, doesn't have many options other than Nesting Rock. Could go for the Grandmother and kill command on the Tile Creeper. Has to get through it at some point, to be fair. But the Nesting Rock. What do you think about this, actually?
Nesting Rock as a card or Nesting Rock in this spot?
In this spot, it kind of does nothing, right? At this moment in time.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. So, I mean, you're looking at Grandmother kill command.
Because next turn you're playing high main.
Yes.
And Nesting Rock still doesn't kill the Tar. And then the turn after, you're doing kill command. So, I don't know. Nesting Rock, it's good to get on board, but it's like only going to do something on turn 7.
Yeah.
Or you could have played it on turn 7, potentially with 2 minions on board, which then protects the high main.
Yeah, I mean, they picked it off the tracking, so they kind of committed to this line a long way out. And once this is kind of a thing that you can do as a Hearthstone player. It's mostly a trap that you should try to avoid, but it's a thing that I think a lot of even very, very good players do, is that if you decide on a line on the previous turn, you then commit to that line on the turn that follows, even if the situation changes. So having tracked and just decided that they're going to go for board presence, I think like the Nesting Rock just becomes almost an automatic play at that point.
Yeah, I just like the Grandmother kill command, high main, the Nesting Rock hero power worst case as well. It doesn't even make you curve awkward, and there's a chance it gains the buff. Suddenly, though, Crackling Razor Maul could change things.
It could.
I think you go for it.
Is it good enough to pass up a high main, though?
Well, if you play high main, it gets hexed. Then that's super slow, whereas this gives, potentially a hex target before high main.
It's fair.
Give this Wind Fury, because you can still kill command the Tar now. So if you give this Wind Fury, it's getting hexed if there's a hex.
It's true.
I like it. Push for 8.
It is just Wind Fury, right?
Yeah, you push for 8, you've got kill command on the Tar. You can still... you can't quite squeeze in hero power, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But still, you put your opponent 12. Like, I'm okay with this as Hunter. When you don't have much plan for the late game and your opponent's held like 4 cards, 3, sorry, for quite a while, so you know they've got the late game probably covered at this point. You need to beat the Hot Springs, you need to beat the Kalimos.
Oh ho ho ho!
You cannot beat the J Lining though.
That is so huge.
It is, but you still can't kill the Crackle.
No answer to the Razor Maul, yeah.
And that also means that the Elementals aren't procced for next turn, so no Blaze Collar.
It's true. He would have a Fire Alley this way, though, whereas if he went with Volcano for the full board clear, then he wouldn't even be able to Fire Alley. He'd be able to Jade Lightning on the following turn, and then again, he'd be back in the spot where he has no Elemental proc. So shuts his eyes, looks for a Taunt Totem, which was a 50-50 at that point. And also, we have the information, because the second kill command was tracked over, that it's actually kind of hard for Croatia to just straight reach from this point. Nyria and Ukraine, of course, won't have that info. They didn't see the second kill command get discarded, so they will still be quite scared of it for the remainder of this game. But their hope will be that Elemental proc on the next turn into Kalimos heal for 12 is just good enough to get them there.
Yeah. Already fire you back. That'd be nice to fill out this curve, but you need to continue the muscle in terms of... This is where Hunter will fall. If possible here. And a Hot Spring Guardian is going to be very, very nice indeed.
It's not quite... It just doesn't quite line up. A, the Volcano play doesn't really quite line up because you can't bust open the high main first. And then B, Volcano Hot Spring Guardian is already too much mana.
It's just Blaze.
I mean, that's what I...
Oh, it Blaze the high main?
It's just a 6/6. There's no Ellie proc.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Sorry, take it all back. Okay, so you kind of have to Hot Spring then?
Do you?
So you take 6. You can take... Oh, maybe not. Maybe.
You can, I mean, you can fire rally. You can trade into the 2-1. I think you probably even play the fire rally first, then trade into the 2-1. Just absolutely maximize the chances that you don't get hit in the face. Because, like, it's all well and good. If you make a play on the board that's as weak as Hot Spring Guardian here, yes, you almost certainly live to your Kalamos turn. But you're a mile behind on the board when you make your Kalamos turn. So they, you know, what good is healing back up if you're just getting this much damage pushed back again?
Oh, it looks like he's going for the setup for the AoE next turn as well from Kalamos, potentially.
Interesting.
Okay. Oh, let's see. Maybe not. Huh. Playing around Unleash.
Yes, Unleash actually now only does 11 in this situation. That is a really nice spot from Iria. That's 10. 10 is not 12.
And you said I learned the huge facts of the day, and now you get Souls one. I was like, water elementals and elemental. Now you understand the key moment where 10 is in fact not 12. Hex as well to follow up. Obviously, Kalamos just has to be played. Ooh, or does it? Do you Hot Spring Hex? Hero power?
Hot Spring Hex.
You can trade into the Howmaster. Your elemental still lives and gets healed by 1.
You could also trade...
Oh, you can't, sorry. Oh, you can Hex afterwards.
You could also trade into the high main first, Volcano, and then Hot Spring Guardian, but you would leave a 3-2 on the board while healing yourself back up. There's actually a lot of lines here.
Oh, oh.
So he's going for it.
Why? Why is he Hexing first?
What do you want to do?
Oh, it was already Tony. That's stupid. Shush! I was focused in the wrong way. Okay, I'm talking rubbish. I forgot it was taunted. That's fine. I take it all back. Preemptively sorry, Twitch chat. But yeah, this is fine. This is as safe as it's going to get. If there's a kill command, there's a kill command. We know there's not. But sometimes you got to take that risk. And suddenly this is not enough damage. And now, especially with that totem being the 1-1, the same totem on board, you can get some mega value here. Kalamos going to heal all the way back up here. And you don't even have to ever worry about these grandmothers.
This was really nicely done by Ukraine. I think I may have lost this game. I would have lost this game to an Unleashed top deck, 100%. I would not.
Yeah, that was nice.
I would not have seen that play unless, you know, given a lot more time. And there is that Unleash that they were scared of a couple of turns ago. But yeah, the navigation over the last 2 or 3 turns to attempt to stay alive here from Ukraine has been absolutely huge.
Yeah. I wonder, do you trade both grandmothers into a minion and then an Unleash?
Oh, Unleash Go Face is, what, 8 more damage here, and your opponent would remain at 6, and you would have 6 power plus hero power on the board. Only 2 of the 1-1s can get traded off from what you can see. It's not far off a lethal setup, right?
Yeah. Because the 1-1s don't feel like, you know, if he trades in, the idea here is once you put enough pressure on his hunter, if they trade into your minions to stop lethal, your hero power gets there anyway. It's not as objective and straightforward as that.
Yeah, no, I get what you're
they
saying.
spend damage killing you, which gives you more time to press hero power and win. He's going to go for the trades. I like it.
Again, this is crucially swayed by the fact that Croatia know the second kill command has been tracked over. That would be the big card.
It's the only way you can get the damage, right?
Yeah, they need to get minions to stick to the board to really push through these last points. There may not even be an Eagle Horn Bow remaining in the deck because, you know, some players have only been playing one or cutting them completely. So,
okay, so Blaze Caller Hex or Face? Go Face first.
Blaze Caller Hex.
Blaze Caller hit all to face, and Hex the 3-2. So 6 damage. They need. You die to kill command.
Yes.
And that's it.
That's a problem.
Yeah, but you die to a top deck kill command. Other than that, you win. Right? You've seen Howmaster as well. Is it one Howmaster?
You've seen one, yeah.
Yeah. Howmaster doesn't give you that much problems because you've got second Blaze Caller to make the way for the trades, or for the attacks to face next turn.
So you Hex. What about, would you lose to Razormaw plus attack or Wind Fury? You wouldn't, right?
No, it would be
3,
6 either way,
7,
right?
9, yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I like it. I think you actually just go for it. You set up 2-turn lethal.
Well, this is, even if you're going down this line, like if you go face here, that's just a superior play to what you were suggesting, right? Because you take the same amount of damage off the board and you you give yourself the roll for the Taunt Tome. So you can potentially put yourself in a better spot anyway. That's true, yeah. High main going to come down here. And again, I made this point earlier, is like games where you're like really, really secure, it's where people get the most pedantic about the situation that they're in. And you heard us doing it there, right?
Yeah.
Like we're talking
But
about,
what about this weird
these
scenario?
most ridiculous worlds.
Jin Yu, not super common in Elemental Shaman either. So in addition, Hot Springs plus Jin Yu makes this deck very, very resilient to Hunter, especially like where you have a fixed volume of damage most of the time. You have to try and make way. So now there's 13 plus 5.
Oh, Eve.
Awkward. But can just whip in a Hex here.
Yeah, Hex Jinyu, Hex Fire Elemental.
Would you... okay, there's no even need to actually trade into the Hex this turn either. Nope. Kill command with the frog doesn't do it. Nope. Frog does 0. So that's
and you don't even have to play around crazy quick shot worlds anymore. That used to be the thing, right?
Yeah.
You get down to situations like this, it's like, okay, quick shot into something. What effect does that have on me? But now
quick shot kill command would win here, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, now with the
safe.
with quick shot gone, there is no card that both deals damage and rebuys a card. Yeah. So in these straight lethal situations, that's just not a concern.
Yeah, and also, obviously now the Jin Yu, you don't even need Blaze Card to put into 1. excuse me. But
Raven's just taking a moment.
Sorry, that caught me by surprise a little bit there, but yeah. Strangathon Tiger, card we both know and love. It's not going to be enough though. A very, very well played game by Ukraine and by Nairia being the pilot, of course. There was some what may have not looked too crazy, but I hope we got across the points of those trades, the way he played the game overall.
It was really
very on point, extremely clean. And not surprising coming from a player like Nairia, but Ukraine, absolute powerhouse, 3-0. First, they take down Germany, which was a tough match. Germany, very strong team. Then they go up against a less experienced team and destroy them. I can see Ukraine coming out first place in this group.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, I have no ill wishes towards Croatia whatsoever, but I think, you know, it's important for our game that when we see an obvious gap in quality, as we saw when we were just looking at the player stats, the Ukraine is just a more powerful Hearthstone nation. That is just a fact. You can't argue with it.
Yeah, they've just factually done more.
Right. It's just a nice thing to see a 3-0 happen, right? Because there's a lot of criticism that gets thrown around, like, oh, this just should have been a 50-50. It's Hearthstone. No. Croatia got outplayed. Ukraine were better at the game. That's just what happened.
Get him. Yeah, but like we said, Ukraine, extremely, extremely strong country. Croatia have plenty of time to battle back and try and prove themselves. They did go up against one of the hardest teams. You can check it out now. It's 2-0 in a 6-2 record as well. They lost 3-2 last week in a very close match versus Germany. 3-0 now. It's going to push them so far ahead in game score. Obviously, they are the only team that has played 2, but even still, going 3-0 anyway is going to help them out in this group because losing 3-2, winning 3-2 last time, that's as close as it's going to get in terms of score, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Germany, probably their big rivals in this group in terms of securing a first, second, third place. And if Germany, you know, they've already vanquished their one game against Germany as they were head-to-head in the opening round, and having done that already and now followed it up with a second win, that puts them well and away in the commanding position in the group.
Yeah, absolutely amazing performance there from Ukraine. But we still got 2 more matches for you before we are done for this week. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious. We're stepping into a land of primordial wonder. Infused with astonishing elemental energies. The plant life here holds very unusual properties. So don't touch anything. And while you may be excited to see the local fauna, you might want to make sure they don't see you. Because their powers of adaptation are devastating. Make no mistake, we will be tested at every turn. But if we stay on our guard, we might just survive. Now then, are you ready? Then let's journey into Ongoro Crater.